You know, we our insecurities, our fears, it all gets amplified when the Band-Aid is ripped off of fresh wounds, and even old wounds with scar tissue build up and re-injuries, and we're always trying to maneuver through our pain, our hiccups, and with that being said, it also allows it provides allowances to certain people who don't necessarily deserve those benefits of the doubt. When you're hurt, but you're feeling, all right, maybe just me being hurt, maybe I'm just vulnerable. I gotta give this, I gotta be open minded. I have to try for this person, and if the person is not the one, they're going to abuse that, whether they know it or not. And it's more callous with those who are aware of those vulnerabilities. But also determining who that person is comes with wisdom, comes with time, comes with patience, comes with logic and rationale that are antithetical to love. Because love isn't rational.
Nothing about it.
There's nothing logical about being in love with someone. You're giving yourself, you're allowing the person carte blanche to destroy you if they wanted to.
Absolutely.
But for that reason is why we're always seeking it out. Because when it's on, you will not get a better feeling. There is no feeling that can match it. Correct me if I'm wrong.
That's nothing like it, man.
It's like what they say about using crack. The first time you use it is always going to be the most explosive time you ever use it. But from that point on, you get addicted because you're trying to simulate that feeling. You're trying to duplicate it.
Yeah, you're absolutely trying. You're trying to simulate that same high, man. And man, this is
it's right. Not easy.
Yeah, right episode chosen. Let me say that. But
I mean, it is like a month before Valentine's Day. But
on top of that, and I think we recently had this conversation, man. Like I feel like I've met my wife 4 times, and all of those women held the same attributes. But at the same time, either one or two things will happen. Like, and this is kind of switching gears to when a female is not the one. But like either I was too young and I was unprepared and I didn't know how to recognize what I had, or
what do you mean unprepared?
Well, see, first and foremost, like I don't feel at that time I was young, and I don't feel that I can have the best of someone until I can offer the best of myself. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, like I met people that were exactly who I wanted to be with, but were light years ahead of the man that I was. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So basically to qualify at that time, I felt like, all right, I know I deserve you as, who I am and who you are, but I don't deserve you as the person I am. And let me caveat that by saying is that is a completely a social standard, because these people were ready to accept me for who I was. All right. And these people have seen me grow into the person I am today, and all these people know that back then they felt like this was the person I would become. Other people, like I felt like I was trying to meet a social standard, because everybody go through that. You got people that your family wants you to be with. You got people that your friends expect for you to be with. You got people that you think you should be with. And the person that embodies who you probably should be with is completely outside of the mold of what society has told you what you're supposed to be with. All right, so, and this is a double-edged sword, but and I'll get to that in a second. But it's like those people weren't the ones at that time, not because they weren't the ones, but because I wasn't the ones for them, because I haven't grew into the person I was supposed to be or was capable of becoming to be with them. They exceeded the expectation of what I felt I deserved. On the opposite side of that, there are people that had endless potential that weren't able to see their potential on their own, and they weren't the ones because they weren't willing to strive to become who they already knew they could be, and I could never push them to be who they wanted to be. And I wasn't trying to push them to meet a society standard, or I wasn't trying to push them to meet my standard. I was trying to push them to meet their own standard. Is that they had a standard set in their mind for who they were supposed to be, but they were too afraid to achieve it. And let me say this. A lot of people fear success because people don't know who they're going to become when they become successful. And although they have the potential, they're not willing to reach out and grab it because it's what now and or if they achieve it. So it's kind of like, all right, I see who you can become, but that's not who you want to be. You're content where you want to be. So, more recently, man, we keep it too real around here. But anyway,
that's the only way we do it, though.
I'm a little lit right now. But anyway, so a lot of the people that I met recently, like, and I'm going to do this in 2 stages because it's all the shit that I have to segue because I like to keep shit recent. So I met someone that had achieved their potential in some aspects and not in others. And then I helped them achieve their potential in the aspects that they had felt they didn't achieve their potential in, and they became outrageously arrogant. And that's a terrible trait to have. And it was great to see them achieve their potential, but it's not great always to create a monster.
And you also know what's disappointing about that? Because there's so much life to live.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I feel like you've reached your potential now, where else are you going to go from there? I feel like the potential wasn't high enough.
Yep.
Or maybe I set the bar too low. And if I set the bar too low, then you're not the one because I have no expectations of you at that point.
Yeah, I mean, if we set the expectations too high, or we set the expectations too low, like
at our age, mid-30s, if we feel like a woman that we care about or whatever has done, at least has reached her pinnacle. If she reached her pinnacle, she's her biggest her talent. If we feel like she's got there, what does that mean? What do we expect of her?
Yeah,
I feel like that's a sign.
Yeah, that's a bad sign. That's a bad sign, actually.
Life doesn't end at 35, 36, 37, 38, even 50.
Yeah. Oh no, man. I feel like I'm always habitual violator on this one. I'll bite that bullet. But I mean, I met many females younger and slightly older than me that, man, that potential was outrageous. And it was like, all right. I don't know, like naturally, especially when I'm into somebody, like I'm naturally supportive, and I'm like, all right, I want to see you do great things. But at the same time, it's like when they achieve it, it's like, all right, you there. What's next? And if you don't have nothing next, then I gotta consider. Like honestly, the first thing I do is sit back and think about what does that say about me. Like you haven't achieved it, and you're not striving for nothing else. So what does that say? Did I set my expectations low?
It's like they're saying, if your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough.
They're not big enough, bro. They're not big enough, man.
And even conversations that you and I have make me nervous sometimes, because it's daunting.
Yeah, exactly. But I think, and that plays into it too, because I think that the difference in that, though, is that usually, I don't think we have a conversation that's not slightly scary. And the reason I say that is because, like, we aim high. We aim high. We expect for everybody around us to aim high. We do what we can to achieve whatever we aim for.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like, whether we achieve it or not, because we hold each other to what we expect of each other, the second that we decide we want to achieve something, the very next thing we do is start working toward it. The problem with that in relationships is, like, I hold myself to this expectations. Everybody around me hold me to these expectations. I need for you to hold me to these expectations and understand that I'm going to hold you to those expectations.
So there are action items that are included.
Exactly. Because as they say, if you take a dream and you apply steps to it, or actually, let me rephrase that. If you take a dream and you write it down, it becomes a goal. You take a goal and you write steps down to it, it becomes a plan. And if you execute that plan, it becomes real. And shit, just like what we've been doing all day, man. Like that plays back into not being the one. Like if I want to go and fucking look at a Porsche, I want to go look at a Rolex, or I want to go look at a suit. Like it's not. I don't need these things. These things are not necessary for my happiness. These are objects of really goal.
They're reflections of where you are.
Exactly. They're goal quantifications.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because I can do it because I can, not because I need to.
I don't need a Rolex.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't need a Porsche Panamera.
Yeah, exactly. These things that I can do because I can, not because I need to. And
we do
what the fuck we want to do.
What the fuck we want to do.
What the fuck we want to do, bro. And I'm one of those people where I'm more about vacation than I am about cars. I'm more about laying on the couch and chilling and watching a movie with somebody that I adore than I am about, taking a vacation. My vacations are more about being cultured than it is about an actual vacation. Mm-hmm. And being able to understand the difference is, it's priceless, really. And that plays back into being the one. Like anybody that I'm with, that's around me, that understand me, will know that I'm doing things.
Embodies that.
Exactly. But because I can, because I want to for them, because I want to for them, but not because I need to.
Yeah, the one for us is never going to look at us and question, why do we want these things? It's more of it is what it is. I'm looking for intellectual fulfillment, And
I think, this is a perfect segue into something else that I think is important to this. And I put this in context, because my man Richard Washington, he's with a wonderful woman. This is a married man here. You know what I'm saying? Like
very married.
And I say that from the context of when I say I went through hell and high water to make sure I made this man's wedding.
he did.
Like I practically parted the Red Sea to make sure I made this man's wedding. But I say that from the aspect of, and the reason I use this segue is, like, we met shortly before he's met his wife. And I think what is important for people to understand, and you'll be able to talk this better than I'm able to talk this, is how do you feel you knew she was the one?
Interesting. And I thought about it. I think about it occasionally. So we met in 2011. Been married for 2 years now. Met her at a time in my life when I was actively not looking for a serious relationship. Just fresh off of a very unhealthy relationship, cheated on. Wasn't treated to the standards that I felt that I should have been treated at. So I met my wife at a club. They tell you you can't find love in the club. For the most part, it's true. I think I just got lucky, and looking at the memories that we've had, experiences. I remember, first time I laid eyes on my wife. The first word she said to me, what she was wearing that night. I remember the first date we had. I remember when I knew I loved her, and I knew I loved her when I got laid off for the first time after being in a shithole job. And she spent all night with me, watching me drink myself into an abyss, and bitched all night. Which I do not do, as you can attest to. I don't do that.
Yeah, you don't do that.
But she sat there with me, listened to me, and there's a lot of societal pressures that you face when you're in a long-term relationship about, oh, you guys been together long enough. When are you gonna put a ring on it? And I'm like, nigga, when I'm ready to do it. But it hits you. It's a flood. It overcomes you. For me, I was sitting around